Welcome to the Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. This is the session number 34 of Aparokshanubhuti offered by Binduji. As a reference, there is a text pinned up on the top of the room, which is Swami Vivekananda's English transliteration. In the chat is Acharya Vidyaranya's Sanskrit version of the text. So you can use this to catch up on the actual verses that Binduji is bringing to the discussion today. All the sessions that were held previously are available on YouTube channel called Advaita Retold, where all Binduji's previous talks are cataloged. Alternatively, you can access the replays in Clubhouse. And for simple housekeeping, I'll close the chat and the hand raising for the time being. And after the hour-long offering from Binduji, we'll open up the chat and for follow-up questions and hand raising. Over to you, Binduji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. Welcome all. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Garunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Śaṅkaram Loka Śaṅkaram Śaṅkaram Śaṅkaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Veda Vivakine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aparokshanubhuti. Sri Harim Paramanandam Ubadeshtaramishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. In the last class, we discussed the 94th verse, which says Upadanam Prapanchasya Mridbhandasya eva katyate Ajñānam chaiva Vedantas tasmin nashte ka vishwadam. So, there are two ingredients which the scripture is referring to for the purpose of explaining the phenomenal world. And how the world is appearing or being created or being experienced by us has to be understood perfectly, without which we cannot have the realization of the truth, or we will never be able to get out of the feeling of reality on the phenomenal world. Upadanam prapanchasya mridbhandasya eva katyate. Like the pot and the jar, or the mud and the jar, the lump of mud and the jar, there you will see that there are two ingredients in the material. I'm not talking about the potter and the instruments used like the wheel, the heat, the oven, and etc. And there are so many other ingredients. You can say the material which is being brought by then the digging the mud. All those things are not important. We are only concentrating on that. The aspect of lump of mud, which becomes the pot, brings in an effect in us that the existence of the pot is a reality. The existence of the pot and the transactional value of the pot supersedes and becomes a reality for our transaction. We are least interested whether the mud has become the pot or not. This is exactly what is happening in our day-to-day life. We are so engrossed or superimposed or superseded by the utility of the phenomenal world and the experiences of the phenomenal world. We are least interested to know what is the source or what is from where this world has come about. Forget about ourselves. We forget how the world is appearing. No, the scientific explanation of the Big Bang, etc., are being considered by the modern intellectuals as the source. But when we ask that question during the Big Bang, were space, time, causation, etc., where were they present? Suddenly a Big Bang happens and then that whole world, the space comes out, the planets, the stars, the galaxies, everything is perpetually expanding. This is what the science is giving the explanation for the world. But what was there prior to the Big Bang? Or what caused the Big Bang? Or was there space, the Big Bang happened in space or without space? These questions are still unanswered by science. They are working on that. One day they may give some explanation for that. But the Vedantic approach is that the whole explosion or the coming out into the world of experience is happening from our true nature. When we were in the state of deep sleep, nothing was there, not even our own existence, or we feel that the individuality never existed. But when we go into the dream world or the waking world, it is never that the objects are created in a space and they are perpetually expanding. It is all available instantaneously. Yugapat. That is what is called the Yugapat Srishti. Instantaneously the dream world appears. We don't know where it appeared, how it appeared, but there is a space inside the dream world in which the dream objects and the experiential, subject-object relationship, etc. is available. Same is the case with the waking. The moment we wake up from our deep sleep, the individuality I, the world, the space, the time, the causation, and experiences of the objects of the world, known, unknown, all these type of feelings are instantaneously felt to us. Now, as per the scripture, what is coming out has to be having only what is there in the beginning. For example, that is why the mud and the pot is being referred here. The pot is an experiential thing, utilitarian thing, an object of the world, phenomenal world. We are analyzing only one aspect of the phenomenal world. In the phenomenal world, when we are experiencing the pot, what we are experiencing is nothing but mud, from which the pot has come into existence as a shape, form, which we call it as the rupam or the form. And when it is taking a shape, we call it by a name called pot or kumbham or jada or what you call the jar, etc. When we wake up from our deep sleep, the whole world is appearing to us instantaneously, including the waker's experiences of the phenomenal world. Now, if it has appeared, it should appear from where it can appear when it was not there. That is our own. It is not the individuality, because the individuality also was not there at that state. There was existence in the form of, I knew nothing, but at the same time I cannot say I was not there. There was some sort of a, what we call it as a immediate experience of being without any attributions, nirvishesha, or without any adjectives which we can think about. At the same time, it is not emptiness or shunyata which the philosophy of nihilism is talking about. From nothing, shunyata, only shunyata can come. So it is definitely not shunyata. From mud, only mud pot can come, like only from gold or gold ornaments can come. Some water related products only can come. Something similar that when I am in a state where there was nothing experienced, this Vishwam or this world, phenomenal world, if it has come out into experience, it should be having the same ingredient which was present before the individuality in the world and the phenomenal world also appeared. That is why the example of the mud and the mud pot is very much used by the scripture to prove that from emptiness nothing can come, and from if something is being experienced, it has to be that which was present there. So now, when we look into that, the scripture says Brahman or Atman or the consciousness or existence or pure awareness or existence, consciousness, happiness, or and whatever the terminology, these are all terminologies used for the purpose of explanation, because none of the terminologies apply there. Avyavaharya and yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. If the words and the mind cannot reach that space. But we have to use, for the purpose of explanation, words which will remove the ignorance which has produced even the words. The words which we are using can be categorized into names and forms, or simply put as adjectives, attributions. These attributions make us feel that the phenomenal world is real. the sun is real, the animal is real, you are real, I am real. This feeling is there in all of us. All depending upon the name and the form of the sun, the animal, you, me, etc. But all of them have come from a place where there were no names, no form, nothing was available, but what was available there cannot be explained by words. So, what has become the phenomenal world should necessarily have the ingredients of what was present when the names and forms were not presented. So, the scripture uses a method of analyzing the names and forms or the adjectives of the phenomenal world. When we analyze the phenomenal world and we do not consider the name and the form or the attributions or the adjectives of the phenomenal world as part and parcel of the original material from where it has come, they all have reducing into one thing: existence. Existence, if it is not present, the phenomenal world cannot be phenomenal at all, non-transactable, avyavaharyam. Therefore, Vyavahara or the phenomenal world depends upon existence of that which is now taking the name and the form. The name and the form is a feeling, just as in the pot, the name and the form is a feeling for mud. Same way, the existence, consciousness or existence, awareness, or because existence and awareness are not two separate things, please understand that. If it is aware, it has to exist. And if anything is existing, it will be aware that it is existing. So that awareness, what we are talking about, is not the awareness which we consider through our intellectual or mental cognition. It is simple the presence. The word best suitable for us is the presence. The presence is felt, experiential. And existence and presence are not two separate things. They are one and the same. When that is being experienced with different names and forms, like the gold when becomes a bangle or a earring or a necklace or anything else in the form of objects, the name and form and the utilitarian value of the objects makes us feel that they are separate. The bangle is separate, the ring is separate, the bracelet is separate, the necklace is separate. Yes, name and form and utilitarian point of view, they are separate. But from the source material of gold, from where they have become, there is no difference. But when the Shastra or the Upanishad or the scripture says that the phenomenal world, what we are experiencing, the sun, the moon, the animal, you, me, etc., are nothing but from that were it were not having any names and forms, which is now having names and form, we are experiencing that. For us, it is very difficult to fathom it because our dependency on the name and form. That is why the example is being brought. Now, if it is Brahman, presence and consciousness or the existence alone was the reality, from where did the name and form come for us to feel the phenomenality of the world? It has not really come from anywhere. Because it has to come from somewhere, it has to be there. No. The example which is given in the next verse is of that of the snake and the rope. What does it say? Yada rajum paritejya sarpam ghrannati vai brahmat tadvat satyam avijñāya jagat pasyati mūಢadi. Just as yatha brahmat, out of confusion or by delusion, rajum parityajya sarpam ghrannati, abandoning the original material which is the rope, the experiential aspect of the snake is being now felt real by that person who does not understand the reality of the rope. If he had the reality of the rope as his knowledge, he will never be able to see the snake. Same is the case, Advat, similarly, Satyam Avijñāya, without knowing the reality, Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma, that is a Satyam, Avijñāya, without knowing that is what is the reality, Jagat Pasyati Mūಢati, the phenomenal world is seen as real by Mūಢati means ignorant person. Ignorant person, the ignorance is about the non-apprehension of the reality. The misapprehension of the imaginary things is real, becoming real. Now, this looks a very simple and very ordinary example, and most of the people, foo-foo this example, saying that this is very, very belittling the phenomenal world, like a snake and the rope. The Upanishad has no other example except using this as, to explain the phenomenal world. But the reality of the phenomenal world is not like the snake which we see on a rope when we do not know the reality of the snow. We are not saying the rope has become the snake and we are experiencing the snake, and therefore the snake is real. What is being experienced by us is the phenomenal world. Now the reverse is to be what has to be worked out. When it was explained the rope is appearing as the snake, the value becomes of least importance. Ask the person who sees only the snake in that fearful moment when he is seeing the snake, all the reality, the experience, the fear, the scare, the fear that the snake can bite and he can cause his death. All those things are phenomenally real to the person who sees only the snake. Our case is exactly the same. We are seeing only the phenomenal world. The sun, the moon, the animal, the you, me, etc. Everything is phenomenal, is real. Absolutely real. And we are worried about birth, rebirth, prārabdha, karma, consequences of action. Everything is real related to the phenomenality of the world. We are not getting into the nitty-gritty of the phenomenality of the world. There can be gravity, there can be sunlight, there can be heat, there can be all the five sensory inputs which are coming from the five sensory organs of ours, because we are the thinking that here we are now assuming that we are the physical body. The whole phenomenality of the world is coming real because we are thinking we are the phenomenal world, we are the physical entity with the body, mind, intellect, sense organs, and the inputs through the sense organs for evaluating and making the phenomenal world real. The whole problem is starting from us. The world is not a problem. The world is being taken as real due to the sensory inputs which we are getting, and therefore every aspect of the world, the sabda sparsha rasa rupa gandha, like the touch, sound, taste, etc., everything becomes real because we think we are the physical body. The Shastra has very clearly this earlier verses. When we reached verse number 95, there were 94 verses before that which taught us very clearly that we are not the physical body. That should never be forgotten. The phenomenal world is real because you think you are the physical body. The dream world is real because he thinks he is the real world, or he is the dreamer of the dreaming world. The dreamer's sense organs makes him feel that the dream world is real. It can be contrary to even the waking world, like, you can fly or you can see an animal or an elephant flying, which is not possible in the waking world, but in the dream world it is possible because of the sense organs and the mind of the dreamer, which he thinks he is the dreamer, is the reason why the dream world is becoming real for the dreamer. Same is the case for each one of us. When we think that we are the physical body, all the sensory inputs which is coming through the five sense organs and everything that is imagined in the mind intellect complex becomes real to us. So the ignorance which the Shastra or the scripture or the Upanishad is talking about is not about the phenomenal world. No. The phenomenal world is an existence seen through the aperture of our sense organs. And our mind now evaluates it due to the association thinking that the mind, the body, intellect complex is the reality. If we want to know the reality or the truth, we should know our reality first. Who am I? Shastra has very clearly mentioned in all the scriptures, Upanishads, everything, that we are not the physical body. I am Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Sarvam Khalidam Brahma, Neha Nanasti Kinjana. So many verses or mantras are there in the Upanishads which say that you are not this bundle of body-mind complex. Yet, we are so much dependent upon that, just as the person who thinks that he is seeing a pot for the purpose of utility, including cooking, eating, bringing water and everything, is real, not knowing what he is transacting and doing the transaction and experiencing everything is nothing but mud. He doesn't realize that his experiences are dependent upon the mud. But for him, the cooking, the eating, the drinking, the storage, everything is on the jar. The jar or the pot is the reality. For us also, the physical body is our reality. I am this physical body. I had a birth. My father, mother is so and so. My age is so and so. I am a man or a woman or a Asian, American, Indian, or whatever things you want to attribute to the body. You are thinking you are that. Even for an iota of a second, you cannot disassociate from that identification. When the scripture says that what is seen is an object for the seer, or what is known is not the knower. When it has been established by this, our dependency on this instrument through which we experience this knowing makes us indebted and wedded to this physical body, the mental body, not knowing who we are. Satyam avijñāya jagat pashyati. We do not know the reality, what is the truth of our true nature. Who are we? Unless and until we are convinced that we are not the physical body, the mind, the intellect, and the sense organs and sensory input, all those things are knowable for me. Therefore, I am not them. I am separate from them. Tebhyo vilakshana sakshi. Tinmatroham sadashivam. I am that pure knowing or knowledge or awareness in which this mind becomes my mind. That knowledge instrument, mind, becomes the instrument of that knowledge. But the moment that mind becomes the instrument, the mind puts in a confusion, delusion in us, because of which all the knowing which is happening in the mind is what I am. Think properly. If that mind is non-functional, is not available for grasping or apprehending things, The same mind says, I knew nothing. There, the entity which was knowing nothingness cannot be denied. The existence or the knowing nature or the knowledge or the awareness, consciousness, whatever terminology we want to use, you use it. But you have to understand that phenomena of apprehension, of nothingness, was in the same mind. There the individuality was not experienced. There I am neither Bindu, nor I am a man, nor I am an old man, nor I am sitting here, nor I am doing anything. All those things which I am thinking now as I am is not present when I was in my deep sleep. It is not my deep sleep. Why? Because I was not there to say I am in my deep sleep. After waking up, I say that I went into deep sleep. It is the waker when now associating with the physicality of the body, the mind and the intellect, he is the one which is saying that I was in deep sleep. If the I was in deep sleep, you should be knowing that I am the one who is now in deep sleep. But we never know that I am in deep sleep. We are in our deep sleep, but we do not know what was the state or what was my reality when I was in my deep sleep. All that I know is that there was nothing other than me. Not me in the sense that the individuality. There was nothingness, but the knower of nothingness was present. This is exactly what the Chandogya Upanishad mentioned, that yatrana anyat pashyati. We don't see the otherness there. Anyat, the word is very important. Anyat vijanati. We don't see anything. We don't know anything. When we do not have the second otherness, but at the same time we cannot deny our own existence. That state of what we go through every absence of the waking and the dream. I don't want to call it as every day, because day and night is a phenomena of the waking world or the waker's experience. So the day and night was not there, space was not there, time was not there, the individuality was not there, the dream world was not there, the phenomenal or the physical world was not there. Neither I experiences my body, nor I am experiencing my mind, nor I am experiencing the individuality I am. At the same time, the second feeling other than me, when it is absent, all I can say is that I knew nothing. There was no I also to say that I knew nothing. That is what is called the Atma or our true nature or Brahman, because there is nothing other than that. So Brahman, when the word is used, people all have different expectation. That is the largest or the biggest, or it is that in which everything exists. That statement is from the point of view of the waker. Everything is for the waker. And that in which everything exists is a term used for Brahman from the point of view of the waker. But when you yourself become that, there is no waker, no dreamer, no deep sleeper. Ebhyo vilakshana sakshi. You become the awareness, consciousness, intelligence or knowing, which we can call sakshi, because even nothingness is known to it. The absence of the second, na dvitiyam asti. The Advaitic experience of non-second is our true nature. That is why it is said, Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit. Sat alone, Sat is a terminology which is used by the waker for existence. So all these things which are now being experienced are in reality, they are all in the names and form. There is no existence. Existence is independent of names and forms. Names and forms are dependent on existence, but existence is independent of names and forms. So the phenomenal world becomes asat, because if you take out existence, the phenomenal world which is in the name and form are sands of existence, but they cannot exist without existence. So there are two ways of accepting it. Either say sarvam khalu idam brahma, everything is nothing but existence. But phenomenology wise or phenomenally, we call it as by names and forms and the phenomenal world. The phenomenal world, name and form are not in reality, they are dependent reality on the existence. What is that existence which is the phenomenal world is depending upon? It has to depend upon from where it came. Where did it come from? From the deep sleep when I woke up, instantaneously the individuality I and the phenomenal world, including you, me, the scriptures, everything came up for me to transact with. So all of them have dependency on my own existence. It is not my own existence in the sense the I which we are referring to as the waker, but I as the Atma, the self or the consciousness or the awareness dependencies on that. And the awareness, when it takes shape and name, we call it as by first the individuality with the body, mind, intellect, etc. The name, bindu, the association with the world, which is now part of my existence. Because both came simultaneously. Without the existence of the world, bindu cannot exist. Without the bindu, the world cannot exist. So it is instantaneously both were created from that state when they were not there present at all. So the moment my experiences start, I know that it is me without the name and form when I was there in my deep sleep, which is now becoming the bindu, the individual and the phenomenal world, which is being experienced by bindu. This ignorance of not apprehending this reality is called the ignorance. The moment we have that knowledge and we are able to see the phenomenal world as my own expression, don't think that it is Bindu's expression. No. Bindu is part of the expression. Prakash is a part of an expression. Revati, Ganesh, or Jesse, or anybody for that matter, is part of that expression. All in that expression, all these names and forms are all dependent upon that existence, which is common to everyone. It is not anybody's individual property. There is no individuality there. So, in the 96th verse, the Acharya says, Rajjurupe paritnyate sarpakhandam natishtati. Adhisthane tadetnyate prapancha shunyatam gata. Rajjurupe, on the form of the rope or the real nature of the rope, like the curved, like lying like a snake. Paritnyade, when it is known in totality, that is the word pari used it. Paritnyade means the entirety of the rope is known. That what is means, it is not that what I am seeing is rope. No. When I saw it as snake also it was rope. When before that also it was rope. Now when I know it is a rope, now also it is rope. So, when I had a delusion it being a snake, that has never become the snake. Same way, when I am seeing the physical world of the waker, my Atma or the Brahman or the reality of the truth has never become the phenomenal world. It is having the name and form and transactional value like that of a pot or an ornament, but all while that is happening when we are in the waking with the phenomenal world, when we are transacting with the truth, that which is there unadulterated, without a second, without any name and form in it, is exactly what is being transacted through the phenomenal world as the name and form now, as the individual bindu and the phenomenal world. So when I know in my under this very clarity that the mind which I am using for knowledge transaction is a name and form of the same reality which is now appearing as a mind of Bindu. Bindu has no individuality anymore. Bindu's transaction, name, appearance and everything is dependent upon the self of Bindu. It is what is there is always before, now and later. Before I knew the phenomenal world, before I knew, I thought I was the individual, the bindo, the mind, body, intellect, and the sense organs of transaction. That time also it was non-dual self only which was there. When the Shastra taught me, when the Upanishad taught me, or when the scripture or the teacher taught me that you are that, tad tvamasi, I am not separate from that self even when I am experiencing the physicality of the phenomenal world or the reality of the world. The reality is of Atma. The name and form is an appearance for transaction like the pot or the ornaments. The moment I know that, even when I am seeing the physicality, phenomenality of the world, the truth can never be separate from the knowledge that the name and the form are dependent realities on the truth of Atman. So all I am seeing, all I am transacting, and all I am experiencing is nothing but Atman. But for transactional purpose, I call them by name and form. And my understanding, my knowledge of the name and form is known to me as appearances. Like the pot appearance is due to the mud, the ornament's appearance is due to the gold, the phenomenal world's appearance is due to Atma. Tada adhisthana jñāte prapancha shunyatam gata. Same way, when you know that the prapancha, the phenomenal world, is depending upon consciousness, awareness, or sat, existence, presence. The shunyata, the phenomenal world, name and form doesn't become vanished. Knowing the pot as mud doesn't make the pot vanish. The reality, the utility, everything remains. But the knowledge that the pot is not a pot but nothing but mud. Same way, the phenomenal world is for transaction, utility, and everything is due to the presence of Atma. The Satchidananda or Satchitananda, Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma, that is what is now being transacted as the phenomenal world. It is not separate from it. So the shunyata, which was there in my deep sleep, or when I was not experiencing the phenomenal world, that nothingness is no more nothingness for me. It is everything for me. But only thing is that the names and forms are not needed for the existence of that state of where the names and forms are not needed for transaction. And there is no transaction required or transaction happening when I am in that state, where the names and forms has no relevance or meaning or not available there. That is why shunyatam gata. The phenomenal world disappears completely as if the names and forms vanished into thin air. But the dependent reality of the self, of the phenomenal world, is all that remains there without a second, one without a second. Therefore, the anya pashyati, anya shrunoti, anya vijanati, when the Upanishad say that there is nothing to be known separate, nothing to be experienced separate, nothing to be seen separate, ekatvam anupashyata, oneness, ekatvam means the oneness, the unity or the non-duality, anupashyata, that is the only one which is seen as remaining, anupashyata. Dehasyapi prapanchatvat prārabdha avasthiti kutaha ajñāna ajñānī jana bodhartam prārabdham bhakti by shruti. So all this explanation started from the verse where the prārabdha was said that is the cause for the birth and death. And the one who knows the reality, for him there is no birth and death. When it was said that jñānī, even after attaining the knowledge, the prārabdha remains. Which was denied, saying that prārabdha was never there. Ajādavada, or the Gaudapada's Karika, which we referred there. Advaitam Paramarthada. The only truth is that Advaitam, the non-duality is the only reality. Right now, before and after, what we are is that non-dual. You are not separate. When we are experiencing you, me as separate phenomenal world, we transact with that knowledge, oneness. That is where the Sarvatma Bhava comes. Sarvam Atma Eva. Everything is Atma. That knowledge will come. But in the Shruti, in the scripture, karma has been mentioned, karma phala has been mentioned, prārabdha has been mentioned. All these things are mentioned for those who see the multiplicity. The wateriness of the mirage is explained by one who knows there is no water there to the one who sees water in it. Same way, the snake is seen by somebody, the one who knows it is a rope, he explains saying that the snake, what you see, is not snake but nothing but rope. And he has to experience the rope to see that the snake was non-real. Same way, the pot is nothing but mud. In reality, you are transacting with the mud, but you call it as a pot. Same way, in reality, there is only Atma, Brahman, as the world, as you, as the experience, the subject, object, and the experience. There is no three. Anyat na vijanati. There is nothing otherness in it. The moment you realize that there is nothing otherness, even karma and karma phala was never there, otherness in the otherness. For those who see the otherness, yatra dvaitam iva pashyati, ta itara itaram pashyati. If such a person sees the duality. The purpose of the scripture is to prove that there is only that which itself appears as many, but has not become many. Ajayamano bahuda vijayate. Even though have not become many, appears to have become many. How did we become the world of the dreamer, the dream objects, and the dreamer. Our awareness. It's a consciousness of my nature. My true nature is the one which became the dreamer, the dream world and the dreaming experiences, everything. Or the waking world, the individuality and the individual experiences of the phenomenal world. There is nothing but that one which was my own nature as Atma, which was present when this duality was not there. When the snake was not there, rope is the reality. When the mud and the mud is the reality, when pots are not being seen. The gold ornaments are not seen. The gold is only the one which is being seen. Same way, Atma is the only one which is there, which is being seen by Atma himself. Atmanam pashyati. The Atma is seeing Atma, but it is not seeing Atma as separate like how we are seeing, because we are seeing it through our mind, which is having the delusion that we are seeing something separate. The moment we know that we are seeing ourselves, that knowledge, that jnāna, that is why only knowledge can remove ignorance. We are saying that. So there is no prārabdha of any nature. Chiyende chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare bahutvam tan nishedartam shrutya geetam cha yat sputam. In 98th verse. All these actions of the perish when he realizes there is nothing but Atma, both sides, higher and the lower, paravare. Here a clear use of the plural, higher and lower, is used by the Shruti to negate prārabdha, to negate all duality. The duality is being used. The water is being used by the one who sees water to as a mirage, to explain to the one who sees it as a real water. The one who sees this rope as rope, knowing very well the other is seeing the same rope as the snake, starts saying that the snake which you see is not the snake but the rope. Such a person, such Shruti is saying, so from a jñānī's point of view, there is no prārabdha, nor world, nor nothing. He sees only oneness. The non-dual oneness only is what he is seeing in that, all and through. He has no prārabdha. He doesn't see prārabdha. But those who look at the jñānī, those who do not know the reality, he says that, that jñānī had the prārabdha, that is why his body is going through cancer, the treatment and all those things. From the jñānī's point of view, the body is not real, the phenomenal world is not real, the cancer of the body is not real, the experiences of the world, of the body or the phenomenal world is nothing but consciousness, awareness, pure nature. In that awareness, if the mind appears, the body appears, the world appears, they are all nothing but appearances. For the transaction, there is no second thing available. The transaction is also in that oneness only. But when you do not know the oneness, the transaction becomes a real transaction with the world of sense organs and sensory inputs. We'll continue with the 99th onwards in the coming class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindoji. Hand raising in chat is available now.
Namaste, Satya.
ഓക്കെ, ഞാനൊരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചോദിക്കാമോ?
ചോദിക്കൂ.
ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ ചോദിക്കട്ടെ. മലയാളത്തിൽ കുറച്ചും കൂടെ ഒന്ന് ക്ലാരിറ്റി കിട്ടാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്. അത് ഞാനിപ്പോ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയത് അങ്ങനെ വെച്ചാല്, നമ്മൾ ചെറുപ്പം മുതൽ നമ്മള് കണ്ട കാര്യങ്ങൾ, ഇപ്പൊ ജന്മം മുതൽ ഇപ്പൊ ഇന്ന് വരെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ, നമ്മൾ കണ്ട കാര്യങ്ങൾ മാത്രമാണോ ഡ്രീം വേൾഡിൽ കാണുക, അതോ അതിനോട് അല്ലാത്ത നമുക്ക് ഇതുവരെ കാണാത്തത് നമ്മൾ ഡ്രീം വേൾഡിൽ കാണാൻ പറ്റുമോ? അതിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ച കാര്യത്തിൽ എന്താണ് ബിന്ദുജിയുടെ അഭിപ്രായം? അതായത് അപരോക്ഷാനുഭൂതിയിൽ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ എന്താണ് പറയുന്നത്? താങ്ക് യു.
Okay, the question is that what we are seeing in the dream, is it only the experiences of the waker which is being reflected in the dream, or are there things which are not present in the waker's world which is also being experienced as a dream? That was the question. So the answer is very simple, Satya. There is no difference between waking and dream as per Aparokshanubhuti. The difference is for the waker. The one who is in the Jagrat or in the waking, he differentiates his experience as the waking experience and his other experience as that of the dreamer. And he also says that I have a deep sleep, where he is in his own nature, but not knowing what he was there in the deep sleep. So the waker is the one which is now giving the definition for the dream, waking and the deep sleep. It is all the story of the waker which is there in the explanations of the waker. But in reality, the truth is that the waking, the dream and the deep sleep is not real. They are all identical in the nature from the point of view of consciousness or awareness. It is nothing but consciousness, awareness or the existence which is being now called the waking, the dream and the deep sleep. So your question of dream and waking being separated is due to not knowing the reality of the dream and the waking. Once you know the reality of the dream and the waking, you will know there is no difference between the dream and the waking. Absolutely, they are identical.
താങ്ക് യു സർ, താങ്ക് യു. പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ഇത്ര ഒന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ജസ്റ്റ് ഒന്ന്.
അതായത് I am explaining to him the whole thing in Malayalam, so please excuse me. നമ്മളെ ജാഗ്രതത്തിൽ കാണുന്നത് സ്വപ്നത്തിൽ കാണുന്നത് വെവ്വേറെയാണെന്നുള്ള നമ്മുടെ ജാഗ്രതത്തിലുള്ള മനുഷ്യന്റെ തോന്നലാണ്. ഈ ജാഗ്രത തന്നെ സത്യമല്ലാത്ത അവസ്ഥയ്ക്ക് ജാഗ്രതും സ്വപ്നവും രണ്ടും ഒരേ മാതിരിയാണ് സത്യം അറിയുന്ന ഒരു വ്യക്തിക്ക് സംബന്ധിച്ച്. കാരണം സത്യത്തിലുള്ള തോന്നലുകളാണ് ജാഗ്രതും സ്വപ്നവും സുഷുപ്തിയൊക്കെ. സത്യത്തില് ഈ തോന്നലുകള് ഒരിക്കലും നിത്യമായിട്ടുള്ളതല്ല, അത് വന്നു പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നതാണ്. നിത്യമായിട്ടുള്ളത് ഈ അറിവാണ്. ഈ അറിവിലാണ് സ്വപ്നവും ജാഗ്രതും സുഷുപ്തിയൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് വന്നു പോയേ തോന്നണതായിട്ട് തോന്നണത്. അത് അറിയുന്ന ഒരാൾക്ക് രണ്ടാമതൊന്നുമില്ല, ആ സത്യം മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. ആ സത്യത്തിന്റെ ഭാവരൂപങ്ങളായിട്ട് തോന്നണതാണ് ജാഗ്രതും സ്വപ്നവും സുഷുപ്തി. മനസ്സിലായോ?
താങ്ക് യു വെരി മച്ച്.
സത്യ. So we'll close the room. Prakash.
Sure, Binduji, unless until somebody wants to come up. Srini, Vinodji, Ganesh Prasadji, anybody? give them 30 seconds and then. Yeah, looks like there's no further questions, Bindoji.
Yeah, I will ask a question.
Sure. Please.
Why is that even when the Shruti is telling all those things and everything is there, it is not being accepted by us and becoming our reality? Come up and answer that.
Yes, I think Bindoji has challenged us. Anybody in the audience? Ganesh Prasadji is coming up. Namaste.
Namaste, Ganesh.
Namaste, Bindoji. It has been the haunting question every moment in my life and perhaps every listener's life. Despite all the explanations and the hammering Mahavakyas and other things and such an in-depth explanation and discourse by you, why this mind? It is only because of the mind and its what I should say, the giant tool called logic. It is not enabling us to feel the reality, and I feel it is only I feel half knowledge of the Shastra Jnana and the consistent repetition or the reminding of ourselves as Atman perhaps is the only reason, and the intense activity or the functioning of the brain or the mind with that logical tool, and perhaps only thing is the doubt. I feel the doubt that am I not this body at all? Then why these things are so in multiple folds? These physical experiences are either making me happy or torturing me, or making me in a fix between the two, the Atmajnana and the because whenever we listen to you or listen to the Shastras, the mind accepts, yes, that is the only truth. Perhaps why don't you accept it? There is something, some wise fellow who is speaking deep within, yes, this is the only truth. And the moment the listening is absent, and the moment maybe it is the fickleness and the lack of steadfastness in that truth is the reason why we are not accepting. And perhaps there is a fear, as you mentioned all through your discourses, that the fear of the sense of otherness creates fear, and that fear element is the very, very motivating point for having even a tinge of disbelief in this. It creates a lot of agony also deep within, why this fear haunts time and again, and how to get away with this fear, or how to just be neutral about this fear is the only question that lingers in the mind, Bindoji.
Right, Ganesh. You are right. See, in the other class, in the previous one of the sessions, Vinod told that, why we have to repeat again and again to people when once you told that, once we tell that you are that, why doesn't it happen? As you said, ajñāna, samshaya, viparriya. These are the three things we think. The samshaya, the doubt, we doubt ourselves. When we are told that we are not this physical body, our ego, individuality is not willing to forgo it. This is where the Shastra insists on Chitta Shuddhi or the Sadhana Chatushtaya Sambatti, what they call it as. When we have the right framework, I can't even say mental attitude, right framework as total acceptance. That total acceptance and conviction that what I am accepting is not mere a statement, but that is my reality. That statement, when it is there, to accept it as our reality is the biggest hurdle for us. We do not want to accept it because the one which is accepting has to die to accept it. The ego, the mind, is the one which has to accept it. And the moment it accepts it, it knows that it will die itself. That it is a suicide for it. It is the death of the individuality or the ego that will happen to that. For that, the ego is not ready. That is where the Shastra says that avarti asakrat upateshat. Repeat it again and again and again and again and again. When to such an extent the student starts thinking about it when he is not even listening to this in a class. Otherwise, they accept it when you are listening in the class because it is acceptable, because he is not doing anything else. Listening to Shastra, so you can accept it. But when it is coming to our day-to-day life, we don't want to accept it because the ego is the one which has to play the role there. But what happens is that when you keep repeatedly hearing it again and repeat the thing, the same mind which is now propping up our ego will remember these words, making the ego think you are not the one who you think you are. You are the other one. You are the knowledge, consciousness, self-awareness. When that keeps on happening, the shitilikaranam or the ego becomes less powerful.
Yes.
And that is what is called the Chitta Shuddhi or the purity of the intellect or individuality or the mind, where you do not have anymore the ego of the individuality. You will accept this whole thing as play of the consciousness, and the names and forms are nothing but appearances in myself. For such a person, there is nothing to gain, nothing to lose. That is what Bhagavad Gita also says. Na labha, labho, jaya, jayo. There is nothing to labha or alabha, jaya or parajaya. There is nothing like that for him. But for ego, these things are valid. Therefore, the ego won't allow. That is why the sthita prajna is very important for us. However much we listen to this and, the technology, the methodology, the Shastra has used such a beautiful explanation and everything. Still, as you rightly said, the doubt, can I be that? That still lingers in our mind because our ego is holding on to it.
Thank you, Binduji. But ego is a very, very powerful, very potential evil deep within us. And even to call it evil is again it is from the point of view of the waker. So even to go just to identify it and nullify it to the maximum extent through the Mahavakyas is the only perhaps the way I feel, as you rightly said. Thank you, Binduji.
We'll see on Friday, 99 onwards. There are 15 steps given by Śaṅkaracharya as a conclusion towards the Aparokshanubhuti, how this can be made a reality to us.
Wow.
And that we will go through from the Friday's class onwards. See you all there. Hari Om. Namaste.
Thank you,
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.